whatever you're wanting to exhibit and have for yourself or in that relationship, you do it and you become it first. And once you do it and become it first, that melts on that other person. I forgot the technical term when they say somebody, if you're around your spouse so long, you start to look like them for that, which you really start to look like your spouse. Same thing. When you start to do certain stuff in the household, it becomes that norm. If you want to experience something, you do it and you become that first. And that reciprocity will fall back on you. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Kendrick. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another episode of Talks with Ken, episode 11. This is the place where motivation lives, inspiration thrives, and personal growth resides. I'm glad to see you all. I'm glad you all tuned in today. I hope your week is well. I hope everything was fine and peachy. I know it was for me. I had some good days with the sun last week. It was a little breezy when we first started. But it is an afternoon or evening, late evening when I'm recording this. Everything is good. In my world, everything is good. As I mentioned last week, I hope you guys continue to stay positive with all the stuff that's going on around the world and keeping your mind upbeat. So today we are going to jump right in. Without further ado, we're going to be talking about reciprocity. And what is reciprocity? I know when we talked about a relationship not too long ago, but I want to kind of jump back in on this because I had individuals sending me DMs and write me, to expound or talk more about that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the relationships. So as I mentioned before, one of the biggest decisions you're going to have in your life is your spouse, who you choose to do life with. And one of the biggest hindrances is being able to communicate your expectations at the earlier of the onset of your relationship. It's like when you're first starting your relationship, what type of goals are we going to have collectively? What roles are we going to play in the family to make sure we move this thing forward? Who's going to be the deciding factor on bigger decisions? Stuff like that. So in our relationship, there comes a time after the honeymoon phase where individuals they see the ugly side. It comes out when people see the ugly side of the other individual. Let's be honest. You probably see a little bit of it when you're dating, but the gloves come off when you get married. And the gloves come off even more when you have kids. So that's kind of what I want to talk about most in the reciprocity phase is it's easy to become a partner in your relationship if you don't keep that fire kindled. And by way of newer experiences, trying new with your partner, learning more about them, bringing new into the relationship, expounding upon that, discussing it over dinner, things of that nature. But when you have little kids, you can sometimes lose sight of you guys. And it's not like you're intentionally doing it, but you're trying to, number one, bring this new life into the world. And you want to see that individual not kill themselves. I mean, literally, when you're little, when they first start to crawl, they discover stuff, put it in their mouth, might choke. So your life is organically built around the safety of rearing that child. And then that once they get up to that toddler phase where they start to walk, speak, and then first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, your personal relationships with your spouse can sometimes take the back seat, and which it shouldn't, which it shouldn't. But then at that point, there's music recitals, there's sports outings, there's gymnastics, there's cheerleading, there's spelling bees, all that kind of thing. So typically, when you get from work, you're rushing out of work to go punch into your second job. I know some of y'all gonna be like, "Oh man, it's not a job. Raising the kids is not a job." Well, you get what I'm talking about. But when you leave your job, it's time for you to really put on the Superwoman or the Superman cape. And when you do that, what happens? You get home on your everyday, day to day schedule, and you're like, "I'm tired. I'm beat." And then so what happens is sometimes your wife or may want to have an emotional type of conversation. She wants to talk about her day, vent about what's going on, plan. And then you may be tired. Can we talk about this tomorrow? Can we go over it, the next day? Can we push this into the afternoon? We'll talk about it over lunch, on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. And then, some of those feelings can be misplaced because you're tired from your rigorous schedule. And that can bring about some type of strife in between the union. Now, how do or how did me and my wife over the years get through that portion of our relationship or deal with that portion of our relationship because it's always there. I'm not even going to talk about my wife. This is me, how I deal with it. So, for those who don't know, me and my wife, we have been married for uh, going on 18 years this year in August. Been together 22 and a half years. So we've been together. We've had some ups and downs, but we've seen a lot and we've had a lot of growth. And I'm gonna say collectively over the last 5 to 8 years, we're in that transition period because our kids a little bit older. They're a little bit more self sufficient. Me and my wife will back into that little dating phase, which I'm loving it. We're loving it. We got a little more energy. We have a little more time to ourselves to be able to talk about our days and talk about the years that we've been together and that kind of nature. But during that rough phase, during the hustle and bustle phase, my point of reciprocity with my wife, meaning what I'm doing, I'm expecting you to do. What you're doing, you're expecting me to do. So when we would get home from a long day's work, picking kids up from daycare, in my mind, as the husband mind, because typically I would get home from my wife, I'm like, when she get home, she's gonna be tired. What can I do to help alleviate her from being tired? So once I cooked, once I got the kids right, I was thinking, what type of chores would my wife do when she comes in the house? And I would try to think for her. I would try to look at some of her quote unquote to dos on a day to day, and then I would try to do some of those chores. And then when she got home, if she got home before me, she would do the same. And so that's how we got through some of those tough points of reciprocating that love or that effort, even when we're tired. I always just assume if I'm just tired, I know my wife is going to be tired. And she would probably do the same thing. I can't speak for her, but her actions show like, man, babe, I'm glad you did that for me because I'm beat. And then in the morning, she know when I wake up in the morning, whether it's a week or the weekend, I like my coffee. Or then when I go downstairs, she likes her tea. It's just whatever I can do to make her life, her morning flow better. I just do it. I do it. Yeah, I had to learn it over the years, but we had this little groove to where whatever I feel like I need, she kind of knows it. And it's just one of those things where I want to make sure she don't have to give me the instructions for our day to day living. And so I always think like, what would my wife do? Or in this situation, what would Keisha do? When you want the best for that other person, you always give your all to that other person. You ain't got to ask about it or nothing like that. And over time, that groove is built and each of you feel like that person is really your safe space. This person really understands me for where I'm at in my point in my life. And that in itself feels really, really good once you get to that point. I mean, but again, it's this. It's ups and downs, it's ebbs and flows, and you gotta be okay with it. But what happens is, I'm gonna tell you this. This is a little side note. I remember way back in school, my professor, he was celebrating like a 30th anniversary or whatnot. And of course, we're young, like 30 years with a woman, man, is a long time, right? And we always wanted that old time relationship. But he said, you don't know what true love is until you get with somebody and you don't remember what the world was like before them. I always say with my wife, she's my enabler. Enabler. Yes, she enables me, meaning she thinks for me so darn good. I typically don't have to think for my darn self when I'm around her. And it's easy to fall into that trap, fellas. It's easy. When she's so good at what she do and she make your life easy, and then you like, "Well, baby, what did I put this? Or what did I have this?" And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's their gift. They got it. Hey, they got it. Imma give it to you. But on the other hand, you need to do your best to try to learn her. Like, and that's literally my personal goal. I want to know her up and down. If I think she's gonna be tired, I'm gonna do whatever I can do. I'm automatically thinking it. And when she comes in, I'm pretty sure she's like, "Well, I'm tired, but somebody got to do this. Somebody got to do the laundry. Somebody got to put up the." One day, your partner's gonna be down, gonna be tired. They're gonna be sick. They could just be emotionally drained that day, and you gotta give them space to allow them to be them for that moment. That's just being human. Allow them that time to recalibrate. And guess what? You as being the partner, you're like, okay, baby, give me the torch. I'm gonna carry it tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and do this for you. If she like back rubs, rub her back, rub her shoulders, rub her thighs, whatever you gotta do, get her to that point, and then she should show you that same thing. I read this book. I can't remember what book it was, but it was um an individual. If you want to experience something in your relationship, you have to become that first. You got to become that. And if you want daily back rubs, give daily back rubs. If you want food cooked, okay, you go cook. And then indirectly, your spouse, your partner will see the efforts and you're doing over a week, a year, a couple of years. And they're like, well, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. Because that's how you indirectly mold and shape each other, not by force, but it's just becoming what you want in your relationship. Like my granddad said, a relationship is what you make it. So if you want it to be good, it'll be good by your efforts that you put in. I can talk a lot on just that, but whatever you're wanting to exhibit and have for yourself or in that relationship, you do it and you become it first. And once you do it and become it first, that just melts on that other person. I forgot the technical term when they say somebody, if you're around your spouse so long, you start to look like them. Same thing. Use that same analogy. When you start to do certain stuff in the household, it becomes that norm. It's identified with you. And then, like, even I got this hard thing to where I do a lot of impersonations when I'm talking about somebody. Hey, such and such said such and such, and she was like this. I do stuff like that. And that has rubbed on to my wife on a bad way. But she does that same thing. That's just a small example of if you want to experience something, you do it and you become that first. And that reciprocity will fall back on you. So don't always put that off on your spouse. Sometimes it's just like, how can I make this better? How can we move this forward in X, Y, and Z way? However we want to do it. But you got to be that change first. It's okay. You can do it. It ain't role specific. It ain't always gonna be the man. It ain't always gotta be the woman. Both of y'all share in that task. And another topic, since I'm talking about the back rubs and rubbing on the thigh and stuff like that. Mom, I gotta do it. I gotta say it. I gotta say it. And I'm gonna say it. Okay. Even in the bedroom. If you like, man, I'm so tired tonight. Then he, which is typically the man, because our love language is touch. I love language. If he is like, "Man, I really want da 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 da." Nope, nope, not tonight. That reciprocity for us and understanding men's love language is touch. It's just like, "Man, I'm tired, but I'm gonna love my man tonight." Men thinking like, "She's gonna be tired tonight. I ain't gotta try every night." That's just thinking about it. But when done right, your bodies, if I can say your bodies like this, your bodies will be in sync. She will know when you need, and you will know when she need. You ain't even gotta ask. It's beautiful, fellas and women, but it's beautiful. And so that is a form of reciprocity. You got to think, what do my spouse or what does my spouse need in this very moment? And can I provide it? That's marriage. That is or if you're not married, a common law marriage or whatever you call, that is what it is. You have to give your all in every situation, even when you don't feel like it. Unless you're really physically or mentally ill to where you can't provide that, you have to give all that to your relationship. So, yeah, reciprocity is the key in keeping your relationship strong. Reciprocity is the key for keeping your family unit in the best shape possible. So, the next time that you feel that you're doing everything, it's okay. When it comes to a healthy relationship, I ain't talking about sacrificing who you are or anything like that. I'm just talking about if you're in one of those, I got 75% of what I love or what I need in this relationship, and I can deal with the 25% type of relationship. That's what I'm talking about. Give it your all because sometimes your partner may need to pick me up, and then sometimes you'll need a pick me up. And that's why I always say you're gonna hear me say this a lot. Lean on your partner. Lean into your partner. Because y'all are fighting that same fight. You're going in that same battle. You got the same plans. You got the same goals. So don't be too hastily to point the finger and show a lot of reciprocity and reciprocate to each other what you want to see in that relationship. And then by way, they will return that favor. Okay. All right, I done talked a little bit today, y'all. It's only that one topic because I believe it's a really big one, and that's what a lot of couples deal with on not being able to do. Well, I'm always picking up the slack. I'm always picking up her slack, or she's always picking up my slack. That kind of a deal. A lot of individuals fight with that, but you know what? It's a union. It's a marriage. You chose him. You chose her. Love him. Love her. All right. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is your boy Kendrick. Till next time. Peace.